Tool. Hey guys, how you going? It's Ben here from Second Dynasty. I'm hoping this is working. Yes, it is. The microphone's on. We just started our latest episode, and with me on the line, I have Zorma. Say hello, Zorma.
Hello, Zormer. Hi, everybody.
We'll also be chatting with John just a little bit into the, dare I say, program. Have we got a format going here? I don't know about that, but a regular show in any case. All right. So, guys, today it's an exciting period. We're coming into the final 48 hours. That'll kick off in another, let's see, 8 hours at 10 p.m. Central Time. I've designed it so that the campaign will actually finish at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I guess you would call it Pacific time, right? In like California, that side of the US. So it'll finish at 1 p.m. on Sunday, that time. Basically 10 p.m. Central European time, and about 4 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time, I believe you call it. The other American time zone. Yeah, well, there are several, and I believe some of them change by states. So Zorima, before we get too far into this, for those not familiar with this, I'm Ben from Second Dynasty. I make model spaceships that 3D printable on your own home 3D printer. Zorima is the light guru who has helped me out with the lighting kits. But we can be found in our own Discord channel, on Twitch here, obviously you've found it, and on Kickstarter. And right now, Zorima is going to post some of the links to where you can find our stuff there, and he'll post it again at the end of the stream. And I believe you also have something cooked up for our viewers today as well, right, Zorima, with some new profiles?
We've released some new profiles, which I'll post up shortly here, that you can gain free access to, that are designed for Ben's ships, that you can go to and load. They're set up for Pura, and for the Prusa Slicer. We've got one for each. Mainly to give details on to make sure you get all the fine detail work that he's done.
Yeah. So, sorry, just saw in chat, Chris Hawks was saying 10 p.m. Brisbane. Oh, do you mean now? Yeah, it should be 10 p.m. Brisbane right now. Yeah, but obviously it's going to be something like 6 a.m. on Monday for you guys in Oz. So yeah, awesome. I thought we would look at how we've been doing by revisiting the campaign page. Hey, I thought that would have worked. Hang on, this should work. All right, guys, look at this. We've almost up to 490k, which is a very impressive feat. This isn't my first rodeo. In fact, this is my 5th Kickstarter right now. And as far as funding has gone so far, we beat through our all-time record of 606 backers on the actual Kickstarter yesterday. Maybe even, yeah, I think it was yesterday. And funding-wise, this is the healthiest the campaign's ever looked before the final 48 hours. So what you might be able to expect is similar growth or better performance than Starship 3, which was our best campaign. It ended at 610,000 crowns. So I think we quite possibly will beat that, because in the past the past 2 campaigns, we've always made at least 150,000 more crowns in those final 48 hours. This is the period where I probably bother some of you all backers with some backer kit mailouts, posting stuff on Facebook groups, Discord groups. Kickstarter itself goes out and reminds everyone that hearted the project, hey, come and have a look, you're about to miss out. And hopefully they'll be met by these new graphics showing what we've unlocked so far. So already, without the stuff we're almost unlocking now, we've got a total of 23 new minis if you've got the crew included in your pledge level. We have 10 mods for the ship itself. Not all of them are shown here, but there's additional ones as well. And we've unlocked 6 stretch goals so far for the deck designer as well, including another one coming up very soon, which John will be talking about. And we can show you a little preview of some exciting stuff that's coming to that very soon. I updated the graphics recently for a few things. I've added some more images of the actual interior of the ship. Um, so I mean, Brian did a fantastic job on the exterior, and also different John has done the interior. Sorry, the miniatures, and so no, hang on a minute, I'm getting things confused. Dave did the interior. So not the two Daves. One Dave did the interior, and another Dave did the miniatures. Okay, sorry. Credit where credit is due. So we wanted to just show that all off together. You can actually see Zorima's light kit here in the upper left corner there with the suit room. So that's in action there, painted and sort of like with the closets closed. So that's one of the lighting kits there. The other one is the engine. We'll get an update on the lighting kit shortly as well. I did fix the Windows logo, John. You whinged about it, and I fixed it so people can't see. I mean, people say often like they complain about a certain feature, and I'm just like, I can't be bothered fixing that. Yeah, it is what it is. Not everyone can like everything, and then 5 minutes later, it's gotten into my brain, and I end up doing something about it. So that's just the way I am. What else is new? I added this graphic of all the miniatures so you can see a little bit better some of the awesome poses that Papsicles has been doing. People have been asking about the marine because not everyone likes the wings or the bug eyes, so we will have a version without the wings, and we will have an alternative head as well. In fact, I actually like the wings, impractical as they may be, but it'll be up to you deciding what you want to print as far as that's concerned. The deck designer we've had, I hope everyone's had a chance to check out the you can now click on a link and download the deck planner or a demo of it, where you can actually see the ship. Let me just do I have this here? No, this is not it. Why is I didn't have display capture on. Well, that worked. There you go. There we go. Okay, so the display capture here, you can see just a basic version of the entire ship. So we have this currently for download. You can turn off different layers or move through the ship, essentially viewing the contents. So check that out. And I need to get back to my Maya copy. Wait, is that what I had? Alright, so we're back to the Kickstarter page because there was one or two more things here I wanted to show off. And just a couple of little... Hey, this is the old one. Let's refresh that. I've got so many copies of this open at the moment, it's not funny. So we should be able to... Oh, weird. I didn't update that graphic. Okay, I just added the side shot of the ships here to the collector, and it's supposed to be in the fleet commander as well, but obviously I haven't updated that in time. And you can also see there is an updated graphic here for the Starfighter pack, and that's because we're going to be previewing it today, and you can see some of the exciting variants that are thrown together, and we're going to look at that in 3D towards the end of this session. But if I'm not mistaken, let's see, what were we going to do now? Yeah, Zorima, you had a little update about the light kits?
Yep.
Okay, not the
have...
ones for this Kickstarter, but upcoming light kits, since they're clearly popular.
Yeah. We basically have started, because of the popularity, it looks like, modding some of the older kits that Ben's done for like the Alpha Shuttle that we're currently working on. And we've just finished doing the files and setup for the engine lighting setup on that particular vehicle. And in about 9 hours, about 24 hours, we'll have some posted photos of that showing you, in place and working like he's got here. So that'll be coming up soon. I needed to print another copy because the one I was trying to print failed. So, whoops. So I had to redo it. The light kit you can see on the bottom on the ground there for the engine motors that is on the screen currently. We're going to make this more modular so that you can plug and unplug to change the kit, or use it to upgrade kits to add more to the same battery. So they're going to be interchangeable. We're going to do some plug changes on that. So we're trying to make it so that you can light other parts of the ship, because there's been a lot of questions about changing some of the lighting or adding lighting. So we're going to basically try to expand that, since it's funded fairly well, and we'll be adding some of those kits in the near future. Currently, with the current release, the kit will be modded so that it can be upgraded, but it will not be upgraded yet. And we will have the kits for the airlock and the boaters available only at this time. But the Alpha kit for the Alpha shuttle will be available probably within a month, and it should be available for purchase at that point.
Yeah. So it looks like as long as you guys show an interest in this stuff, even if it's on a smaller scale, Zora has been more than willing to work on things, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that finished printed shuttle tomorrow, I guess, or later on. I will stream probably the last hour of the campaign on Sunday night for me, so maybe we can show it off then as well. It should be at a better time for you as well. We'll see if you're free. All right.
Always free.
Always.
I'll be here.
Okay. Let's before we take a look at the what was I going to call it, at the starfighters, we will first get John on the line. Are you there, John?
I've been here the whole time.
He always says that. He always says that. But is it true? We'll never know. We'll never know. How you going, John?
I'm doing pretty swell. I'm excited to talk about the new deck designer things, but why don't you tell me what I'm supposed to be talking about?
Well, that's not a good sign. No, I'm kidding. So, as you guys... wait, we need to get to the stretch goals. I thought what we could do is... first, I've got in the... hang on, I don't have in the background. I need to have the right one. I really need to Alt-Tab or something. Here we go. So here's the deck design. I keep wanting to use Maya to navigate this instead of the WASD keys. But yeah, with this in the background, we've got a stretch goal coming up for the deck designer, and that will be the let's see,
Advanced tutorial mode.
Yes, thank you. The advanced
welcome.
tutorial mode. Very well said. So that is going to do what exactly?
So if you go back to the prototype viewer, you'll notice that when you click on different layers, parts just pop in and pop out. It's pretty quick, pretty simple. Imagine that without the camera moving, and you could just have little groups of parts. That's how the current tutorial mode was going to be. You just click on things, and they pop in and out one at a time, and you figure out what it was. The advanced tutorial mode will instead do limited animations, very limited, I want to emphasize that.
You mean translations?
It'll move the camera to where the next step is supposed to be. Kind of like those fun Lego kits, the instruction booklets, that they swap the angle for you so you know how to do a particular section.
Yep.
And it'll also allow people to include a small amount of text to emphasize something about that step. Like, make sure you pop in the bottom before you pop the gunner in, otherwise the bottom slot gets filled, or just something, there's little oddities that need to be explained.
Yep. Hey, the plants are green. I hadn't noticed that. I guess that's
that was a joke.
It was?
Yes. I intentionally set them to be green.
Nice. You cheeky person. All right, but you did have an exciting development. It's not going to look like super much to people, but there's a reason why it's exciting. And John has actually sent me this alternative prototype, which looks a bit weird right now. What am I looking at, John?
So, I will answer Chalk's question in a moment, but we've discovered that while the grid's great for certain applications, and we're not getting rid of the grid, we found a new snapping approach to where it will take the snap points, the open lock connections into account and adjust the part to fit, even if it doesn't have a proper fit on a grid. For example, this is, I believe, a IA part, or it's one of those secondary floor parts of open lock.
Yeah,
And it
it's
was
not one
used
of the
because it
common
doesn't
ones.
fit to a grid. It's not perfect yet, but it's just mathematically solving. It gets some errors, but that's okay. We're going to continue to fix all the things, and it's going to let people. It looks like a weird bug.
Oh yeah, don't tell. John was making a weird ass sword before, so I don't think he can critique me on my modeling skills.
Yeah,
It is snappy, Calator. It is.
And Chalks, to answer your question, it will highlight the parts in the in actual tutorial modes. Right now, I didn't want to highlight the decks in the prototype viewer because then it's covering up with a color the thing you're wanting to see. So it's a little different circumstance. But anyway, this is there's still some snapping angle issues that are being fixed, but the main code has been resolved to where bundle designers can set up their snap points, and then they could specify as a user, do I want to stay on grid or do I want to attach to snap points instead? And you could switch back and forth during a project even.
Okay, that is exciting. No, honestly, it is. Like, I may not have sounded the most enthused right then, but I was just distracted by playing with the tool. But a couple of questions that come to mind, because I know OpenLock isn't the only lock system out there. So is this going to work on different kinds of lock systems or just OpenLock?
The beautiful thing is it's going to work on any system, and you can even specify the default will be OpenLock, but you could say this snap point is a 5mm unique custom one, whatever you have. Like imagine if you did that for a sperms pot. You then can use the same name of that kind of snapping point on the other parts that go in to make super customized things. So it's not stuck and trapped to OpenLock system.
So you mean to say in the same scene, I could have one of my files, like say for example, the Sleipnir itself, right? Mm-hmm. But we could import the Dragon's Rest landing pad, which uses a different lock system, not too different dimension-wise, but we could technically have both of those in the same scene.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's exciting, and we haven't at all scripted this. No, we really haven't. I'm just talking weird for some reason, but.
Well, the important thing to remember is while the parts will not automatically, the snapping between those two parts won't do anything. It will just allow them to be displayed together and also allow them to work together on the same grid. But the snapping features will actually know this doesn't fit this, so I can't let you snap there.
So that's a good example of how you might want to combine the snapping system with the grid.
Right.
And the other place where I figured that would be a good thing is also when you have for example, if you look at the scout ship and the transport, you actually have the interior, which is aligned to the grid, but the outside hull pieces actually have just a little bit of breathing space, so you don't actually want them to snap completely together in all places. They do have their own snapping points, of course, but you might want to align them on the grid to get them in those two different positions. And this is perfect for those older ships because they haven't been built in the same modular way as the Chimera and the Sleipnir have. The pieces don't, like, it's not like this piece is 3 inches long, this one is 4 inches long, and they align to the grid like that. They're a little bit, all kinds of different shapes. So this is really going to make our lives a little bit easier when it comes to some of the older stuff and placing that.
Yes, I completely agree, Ben. I want to answer some of the questions in chat real quick, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So Kalatar Heel 2007. I get a lot of reports they want a bounding box, and while the purpose of the program is not to provide that, since so many people want to have it, I think I should just pop it in. It will just be a check of the bounds of every object and spit that back out to people. And for mostly Dave, can you import and place a piece with no lock points? That's a good question. Some pieces are prefer to be on a grid and have no snap points. You could specify their grid objects. And some are decorative, like a figure or something else. You can specify them in that form, and they'll use instead no snapping of any kind and no grid. Like you could place the figure exactly where you want by clicking on a face on the mesh.
There you go. So it's thinking of everything. I'm actually really excited about this. It's been one of those things that, it's just been on the side, and because I'm not as active in the project as obviously John is, it's one of those things where you see it sort of coming together and new ideas and being like, oh, this can be further developed. Like I will I'll probably be pressing you in the future for the ability to get some kind of camera in there that we could potentially export maps so that people could actually use the program to create, maps for VTTs, like virtual tabletops and that sort of thing. I think that's a feature a lot of people would enjoy as well. But these are kind of like, this is what I love about not working in a vacuum, but working with like Discord or Twitch, or where you have a chat where you have feedback from people and they give you new ideas, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, yeah, you could actually make maps with that. And I can see myself using that. In fact, we're about to start we finished our D&D campaign last Monday, and on Monday we're going to start Starfighter, and I'm like, well, we're playing VTT, but we could use Deck Designer potentially to, create the ship that we're going to run in that campaign. So
that's very exciting. How do I get you as a DM?
Yeah, we'll see, John. We'll see.
All right, I'll be going back into the hiding place.
Yes, go back to your workstation.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. He says. You're gonna love that. All right, I just need to close off a few windows here because I was blocking my own view. So I've got Maya and the ship in front of me, but I just realized this is the wrong copy of that. Yeah, I think Sainty Boy, a lot of people would like VTT support. In fact, it's one of the things that maybe I kind of regret in a way, and also not in another way, not having... There would have been a benefit to doing Deck Designer separately, because both the name, we did go back and forth about whether or not we should make something more generic, because you could use it for any kind of tiles, and obviously a lot more people in the industry, or rather in our niche is probably a better way of saying it, are using fantasy as a basis. So this could have wider appeal than the actual Sleipnir itself. But at the same time, it felt more genuine to just create it alongside this stuff, and we'll see how it goes, and hopefully use of Deck Designer will spread, or we could feature it in the future if we want to go back and do something more with it. We could make it its own thing and make it a little bit more universal. Not that it doesn't already support, the vast majority of options people are going to want, especially not with these stretch goals we've released. But yeah, I've got the Sleipnir here, but we're not here for the Sleipnir. We're here for the new Starfighter. Oh, they're the old Starfighters. Yeah. Just kidding. I do very much enjoy the old Starfighters, but of course we have a bunch of stuff here. This is what my scenes look like before they get cleaned up. This was all of the parts that went in the last Starfighter pack. And actually, we've got our lights. Hey, where's drop down not working? There we go. Let's show none, and then show polygons. So we'll just get polygons in the scene. Having some issues with some of the shaders turning green, but they don't actually permanently affect things. So yeah, this was the pack last time, and we'll have something of a similar size. More variants, and a large majority of the pieces are going to be cross-compatible. Yeah, you'll be going pew pew, John, in a sec. So here we have a few arrangements I've made of the newer fighters. So when we first concepted the Starfighters, we did have the sort of like pie fighter style cockpit as a suggestion. In fact, it was just like this thing, I think. But I'd just done so much work and spent about 2 weeks getting the Starfighter pack working last time that I didn't. Yeah, there's some other experiments. We won't talk about that today. I basically just decided that let's save this for a future pack. People are clearly interested, but I couldn't give you all of the suggestions and designs I did completely and maintain the same level of fidelity. And I think it was good value for money. And this one will be too. So I've started with what was missing from the last pack. I've just got to figure out how to get into and out of these style of cockpits. But we do have a few developments there. Also on the Discord, people have been saying, but I want a micro shuttle, something that's just big enough to, you know, fit a couple of different squares in it, like 4x4, sorry, 2x2 or 2x3 sort of squares, not too big. And this is sort of like one of the side effects we're sort of working out with. Just in this situation, you can't see very much. At the moment, I've just put the cockpit in from the escape pods, actually. Wait, I'm guessing something's saving because it's acting very slow all of a sudden. So yeah, here you can see these squares. So we've got a grid pattern. That's going to fit in a couple of standard squares where you could choose to put in seats or that sort of thing. It is very much influenced by the shape as some of the Star Trek styles. So I wouldn't be surprised if I do eventually include some kind of warp nacelle sort of add-on thing. This is the least developed of the designs I've done so far. Otherwise, it's just usually when I do these concept renders, it's sort of like throwing it together. Like if you look too closely, like to the underside of this heavy fighter here, you can sort of see it's not at all developed. I'm going to have bomb bays there where we'll have missiles inside or something like that. We'll have missile mounts on the wings. But this is a twin cockpit variant there, so you'll be able to put 2 people in. I'm also thinking of actually just slicing this up in the middle there and having this open from the front and back at the same time. That would make more sense. As you can see, the new turret for the what was I calling it? The not the Pegasus, the Cerberus. This mounts on the top. I sort of like drew some inspiration from some Star Citizen ships. Star Citizenship ships. For this one, creating a sort of heavy fighter. Well, geez, this is saving left and right now. And then sort of like a combination of sort of Star Wars influences here and some Babylon 5 thrown in, and also some Wing Commander, which was one of my first games, so I'm always interested in doing stuff like that. There may yet be some additional pieces. That's usually the way that things go. But yeah, the process of creating these things, usually I just start with a concept, and then I'm like, okay, what's missing? And I'll usually fill that out. Last time we had a lot of weapon systems. They'll obviously get recycled. So there'll be cross-compatibility. I still want to make it so that if you don't own the first one, you can get this pack and you'll have weapons to use with it. So there will be stuff like landing gear, like weapon systems, like certain thrusters that will be in both packs, but I want to make it value for money here so that you can actually get quite a few new things as well. Alright, maybe we have some questions here. You with me still, Zorma? Alright, I will... Oh, okay. He's answering in the chat instead.
Oh, it's well, you were talking to interrupt you, sorry.
No, it's fine. I was just wondering if we had a few questions to address there.
Yeah, okay, we can go back to a couple of these. Like, let's see here. There was one question about Seahawks, one of our old friends here, is asking about his Flash Forge Dreamer and whether or not he's going to be able to have stuff in a small enough setup that he'll be able to print it on that printer. That printer has a fairly small print bed,
Yeah.
and he's asking about the breakdown of how these are going to work, meaning ships in general.
Yeah, well, the actual Starfighter packs will print on a printer size that small. I actually have a Dreamer in the next room. I don't use it anymore, but I know the build size. So most pieces of the ship will still print on that, but there might be one or two where if you had such a small print bed, you would actually have to, through your slicer, cut the piece into two. And I can show you the offending pieces would actually be down the bottom here with
Did you put some of those down and make them more modular recently?
We did, but that's still and in fact I can turn that on with the hull extenders here. So we do have a bunch of new pieces, and these are in general smaller, but we still have some things like this with the doorways where you know, you're gonna have to probably slice some of these parts and maybe glue it. But basically, I think most of these will actually now fit on a Dreamer, if I'm not mistaken. That still has like, what, 5 by 5 inches, is that right? I think it's like 12.5 centimeters, 125 mil, like cubed.
I believe that's right.
Yeah, so I think most of these will, but someone was asking about the printer that they had. It was an SLA printer. Like, you can print this stuff on SLA if you want. It's just it's optimized for FDM printing. You can see here the sort of built-in supports, like in the open lock clips. Those would not be necessary on an SLA printer for the most part. So
there's no reason why you could not print any of these parts in SLA. It's just a matter of the cost. You may not want to do it.
And drainage. You do need to add some drainage. Okay, it's bigger than I thought it was. So yeah, I would say most of those pieces, I think I adjusted, it might be in one of the updates, but I'm pretty sure that you could then actually fit the Sleipnir. I don't want to commit to absolutely saying that, because like if I measure this piece, which is a copy of the front, where's my ruler?
We have another question when you're ready.
Yeah, maybe you can fire off with that while I look for a ruler.
The second question was, there was a question about fantasy dungeon software or fantasy pieces rather than sci-fi, since we seem to be kind of curled into that area, and whether or not we might have ground train or something to that effect in the sci-fi area. The question and answer to that is yes. If there's enough demand, then yeah, but Ben likes to work on ships because that's what he's interested in, and he has the most, you know, keen to in his art. But we have talked to some people about doing some hex-based ground terrain or other type of things that we might work with to, like, you know, support the game system. There's also been discussion because of our next potential release, which is a traveler-based ship that would have a square-based profile, just like the D&D, like D&D does, and that's so forth for internal. So we might make a terrain based on that. So I guess there's some chat about it, but we haven't decided anything. It's kind of one of those things where we could use some feedback from you on the Discord to tell us what you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best place to put stuff down. Chris, just so you know, the tallest piece, I think, is this one. It's basically the center pack. You could easily cut off the top there without losing too much. In fact, they fell off in the post. And that's 151 millimeters. So I think that'll probably be about the worst you'll get there.
Now the question is the shuttle length modular? I don't know
yes.
which shuttle you mean. You
He
mean the one
means
that
this new one. Sorry, I was assuming it was a he. I didn't see who it was who asked the question. Essentially, this section here will be repeatable. So you can extend it lengthwise. I don't know. I guess in theory we're going to have an open look. We're probably not going to have the clearance in the ceiling that you would have like in a shuttle, because it's just going to make the shuttle style a little too bulky. We may also have alternative cockpits or that sort of thing, but the concept will be, you take the roof off, you see the bottom half, essentially, inside. And of course we'll have a ramp closing it up. It's not going to be open like this, and it'll be articulated, and you could mount weapons at various points. It's just right now it's just this very, very basic shape. Because to get all of this printable is going to take me a good 2 weeks or so. So it's really just concepting at the moment.
It'd be nice to have a Space 1999 kind of ship. Kind of what, small cargo.
Oh yeah, I mean that stuff would be possible in the future. And I can imagine. I haven't talked yet to Steve about this, but we could potentially have some smaller traveler stuff as well, along with like some of the main ships.
Yay, tanks. Hover tanks. Yay.
So.
All right. The other questions were, let's see, Woot Traveler. Do you want to go into Traveler? Talk about that?
Well, we haven't signed anything yet still, but we have talked to the property owners of Traveler, and they were very interested in licensing it to us. So our plan is that the next ship is going to be from the Traveler universe. Ship or ships, I don't know which it'll be yet. It's too early to tell, but that's definitely what our next project is going to be. I'm really, really, really looking forward to not having these Facebook comments if it's like, oh, this is a rip-off of that, or this is a rip-off of that. It'll be like officially licensed, so there'll be none of that.
Yeah, won't that be nice?
That'll be wonderful.
I can't wait to work on the light kits for that, to tell you the truth. All right, yeah. Anyway, yes, there'll be light kits for stuff in the future. If you have light kits on a given model that you do not have that you want on some of these bigger ships, then they will be available if you bring them up. If you don't bring them up on the Discord, I'll put them aside and deal with them last, because I'm going to be adding as we go on. And the modularity is what I'm working on right now, and getting the base light kits for some of the ships to allow play. But motors and engines, external, seem to be the ones that are most popular at the moment. If you really want to see some internal areas lit up, the screens and whatnot, let me know, because we could definitely make and build light kits that actually, well, run the screens and provide actual colored displays in the whole 9 yards. It's just a matter of whether or not people want that and if they'll pay for it.
Yeah. Because it is possible, and we have delved, or I've experimented with some stuff like that, but have got it to the point where it's like, yeah, I finally got it working. Okay, it's not installed yet. So basically the bridge, once again, I've got it printed here with these seats, but I haven't got the actual miniatures back yet. You've seen them painted. They're on the way from the UK, but unfortunately one of the downsides of the UK basically being completely closed right now is the Royal Post is extremely slow. So I'm not expecting to get those miniatures until probably minimum the earliest the end of next week, which is a shame, but Dave's done a fantastic job painting that up, and he was going to paint up 1 or 2 of the 0G models, so we'll see if that happens in time for Sunday to maybe show off one of those, but I don't have them physically, so that is rigged for screens, but they were very, very expensive. And I think
we can do them much cheaper than that. I mean, that was our prototype, so yeah. I'm sure I can do it much cheaper than that if I get time to actually design them thoroughly. So, but another important question. So you get some big important question. Can we pick up the whole ship and fly it around the room like a big kid? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can.
You can, with the caveat that it is fairly hefty. I haven't weighed it yet still, because I don't have, like, generally the way people make scales, it's either for measuring drugs or it's for measuring people, so this needs to be kind of like in the middle, or I have to bring in my bathroom scale to test it out, but I'm thinking that it's around 5 kilos of plastic, about the same weight as the Chimera. You can lift it straight up and transport it easier. It's certainly a lot easier to transport around than it is the Chimera was, for example. The Chimera, you almost had to break down into parts to lift if you wanted to make sure you weren't going to, either you would have to glue it or break it into parts as to make sure that, you didn't drop it. So this is more transportable and easier to stack off. When I took it to play with my buddies back in the summer when we were playing the Expanse with the prototype, I just packed it all down into 2 crates and just large plastic crates. No worries, very transportable, all jokes aside. But something you could fly around the room, people have been asking in the most recent poll for a tactical miniature of the Sleipnir. I'm not willing to do one for every single possible variant, because doing that in Starship 3 took an immense amount of time. But the base ship, good news is I tested a new way to basically get the volume of an object and recreate it essentially as one object instead of like 300, and have been able to make a miniature that should at scale look reasonably well to represent the ship. So I intend to make that available before the end of the campaign.
That would be very cool.
Yeah.
The question here dealing with the slow boat from Traveler. Seahawks, I'm confused. You're showing me a picture of a slow boat, yes, but are you asking about it or asking if that's what we're doing, or what are you saying?
Maybe it's a suggestion for vehicles that could be included.
Yeah, that's a 30-ton slow boat, which is a standard, very standard shuttle carrier in the game.
Yep. I'm very much looking forward to Traveler. And now you know what you've incepted in my mind. I keep thinking about the Scout as well.
I think the Scout is the most. I think Scout's a must. I know it's triangular and hard to maybe model, and the fitting pieces might be a pain in the ass, but I mean, it is the most common vessel that players end up with in the beginning. That and the X-boat. Those are pretty common.
Mostly,
the X-boat is next to useless.
Yeah. Mostly, Dave, Traveler is an old school RPG. Basically, if you imagine D&D to be like the grandfather of fantasy RPGs, Traveler is like the grandfather of sci-fi RPGs.
It's pretty popular in some areas still. So, and we were able to talk to the owner and get a potential license deal. So we were like, yes.
So yeah, that is the sort of future. So today, because I'm going to be busy, I thought what we would do is take a final tour of the actual Sleipnir itself. I'm just going to kill this frame and we'll see if... Actually, I'm just going to go back and save that up and close that off. Hopefully it'll free a bit of memory. And I'm hoping I can just put some anti-aliasing on so that looks a little bit nicer for you guys. Let's kill this box here so we get all of that width. So yeah, the idea with these parts, we did have some questions about how do these hull extenders work. And if I go back to the Kickstarter page here, I can show you what I mean, because we had this section here. So I'm talking about the modular hull extenders. Now, going back to the Chimera, we actually did some hull extenders there. The terminology is being mixed around a little bit because we also did some extended clips and stuff. But essentially, the hull extenders, in this respect, are parts that allow you to either add additional decks to the Sleipnir. You already can kind of do that because there are certain decks that will stack. But more likely, you can actually broaden the Chimera in various places. So the pieces I've shown you so far, you can actually see that since the last session where we played with these last week, I think it was last week, because we did the drones in the second part, right? We already have grown this by a considerable number of pieces, and by the time I'm finished, it's going to be even more, because the idea with this pack is you're going to be able to take, the ship, you'll be able to, let me just get the grid locking. Wait, where did that go? All right, this is at 16. Let's make it 2, and I'll just put it down there so I've got it for guidance. So say, for example, you want to make the ship another 4 inches wider. Whoop, we need to lock that. So we could just, let's see, go 1, 2 on that side, and then we'd want to bring it up there. And on the other side, we'd do something like this. So basically, you'd be widening the base, and obviously every layer on top of that. So you basically get a whole heap more deck space, right? These parts would let you do that. Now, this would be at the sacrifice of stability, because you will be missing some of the structural reinforcement. So maybe if you're going to do this, you might want to glue the base deck together or something like that, just for some additional support. Usually I like to do things glueless, which is why I don't make ships be any bigger than I already have bought them, made them, sorry. They essentially, yeah, these packs are for widening decks, and obviously you can stack more on top of the other. So I want to bring some customizability in there. So essentially you can make the ship much bigger than it is, turn it from, you know, like a small patrol ship or a light cargo freighter or something like that into, you know, a proper warship or a frigate, that sort of thing. At the moment it's about 50 meters from top to bottom. It's what, like 160 feet or something like that. Was that a manned torpedo back with the fighter parts? No, I haven't made a manned torpedo. That sounds a little bit kamikaze. Or am I misunderstanding what you mean? Oh shit! I've just done this thing where I haven't shown you Maya again. Oh, fuck. Okay.
I thought you were talking about the thing. I was confused myself.
Yeah. I was like, oh, blah 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 blah. All of these pieces are expanding. Yeah. So what I was talking about, I think I can actually just undo some of this stuff. No, that doesn't work. Does it work the opposite way? Okay, basically what I was actually saying is, like, if you wanted to add 4 inches here to the width, you could just move the parts out here along with the engines. The engine room might be a bit stuffed up because of this, but really, you know, that's mostly for holding batteries. And you wouldn't really want your miniatures down there anyway. But the idea is that this hull extender parts will let you basically build out this wider base of the model, and do that for essentially every level. That's the idea. Obviously the nose of the ship might have a few issues.
Wider base gives me an idea.
Of course it does. What is your idea?
Induction. I can build it's wide enough that I'd be able to build an induction coil for power.
Well, yeah, it would be, probably.
It was too small before, but being able to widen that out, I'd be able to build an induction coil to power the fusion power plant inside.
Mad scientist Aroma is joining the likes of some Space Monkey, Professor Space Monkey, and John. Oh dear, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, that's the idea, that they'll be able to essentially modularize some of the parts. The main issue we're going to run into is the cargo bay door and that stuff. But if I could potentially do a version where this is slightly wider and we just have the corners and the door frame is a separate object, and that would also make the ship more accessible to smaller print beds. Oh, my mouse did line up with the pictures for a little bit.
Yeah, that's why I was confused. I'm like, are you talking about the picture of it?
Yeah, no, this is the way I was doing it. So we have about 10 minutes left. So you guys might have noticed that I did do a drone level last session. Zorima wasn't with me. I just wanted to, that time, I just wanted to not have to worry about when I was going to stream.
2 short questions as well that were asked to me in text.
Oh,
earlier. Yeah. You want to answer those, or should?
Yeah. Let's get the questions answered.
First question was, Warhammer 40K compatibility, which the answer is yes, but we're not doing anything that's breaching the standard, Warhammer compatibility rules for, GDW and all that crap. But there has been talk about doing some kind of arrangement to allow people to build their own and work with some kind of mod base that Ben's talked about, but we haven't worked out the details for that yet. Do you have any ideas on that, Ben? Because that was kind of what people were heading towards asking.
What do you mean?
Basically, allow people to have like a moddable add-ins that they'd be able to publish or do something with.
Oh, you meant to sort of turn the inside to have that sort of gothic text look.
Basically.
I mean, technically, some of the parts are fairly easy to mod. Like the interior walls are fairly simple. I'm not planning short term to do a solution like that, but people could certainly replace the inserts with that sort of thing. I think overall the actual aesthetics are a little bit different to what you would expect with 40K.
Some people are looking at the Cerberus and some of the others as a Warhammer 40K ship to be used.
So well they certainly could do. I love the Cerberus. I'm actually going to build it, I think, because it's really cool. Looking forward to working on that. Even if it'll...
On one of the Warhammer 40K boards, they wanted to build the Cerberus and modify it. And they were asking if they'd be allowed to modify the files to make it more Gothic or more Warhammer 40K based. And I said that I would ask you. So I'm asking.
So, as far as that's concerned, I think what I'd like to do is set up the possibility to provide limited modifications in the sense of like, yeah, you can mod them. I can't stop you anyway. But that we have a sort of repository where those particular files are made available for free, essentially, where it could be shared. I could talk to my mini factory about that sort of possibility. The other option is, we just provide them on the Discord, and the best ones I can upload and make available for free for people, basically through an official source.
Tell them know that we're talking about it, and if they want to do some of that stuff, that they could submit it for review. That sounds like a good way to.
Yeah, I think so. Like, if we're gonna make anything official, I'd rather like make sure it's done in a quality way. And if I do find something where it's like an interesting design, but the artist's skills are not quite like at the right level for my stuff, maybe if I feel inspired by that, I might give it a extra pass or something like that of detail. So we'll see.
Okay, well, some of this stuff is definitely going to be, they want to make it very Warhammer 40K, so it could be a licensing issue too still.
Well, I think if you follow the sort of Patreon model of things, if you provide stuff that's free and you're not making a profit out of it, you're usually, most things will look the other way. Obviously it does come into a gray zone. I can't mod and sell stuff that looks, to 40K-ish, and there's an argument to be made, whereas like the big boys, if you're using a design language for a ship that looks like it, for example, fits in with the Expanse universe or that sort of thing, as obviously the Sleipnir looks intentionally, the question is, am I also taking from their profits or taking away from their brand? And in this case it would be a no, because I'm making something that looks like it could exist in that universe. They don't have any products that are like this. It's a moral and I guess legal gray zone of things, where there's sort of like a crossover of things, whereas Games Workshop create the miniatures in particular. They'd be more likely. Review,
basically, is what you're telling us.
Yeah, but basically, it's more a way to redistribute like fan remixes of my stuff, but I will not commercially be creating something that is specifically 40K-ish. Yeah, and there is other stuff out there that's already quite good in that respect.
Okay, the second question was asked yet again. When can we expect to get gun cabinets without guns? They
I
have
said
yeah,
they will be included. They will just be included. I'm not going to make a big thing of them. You'll just have a version of the gun cabinet without the guns as a part of it.
I'm just only saying it because they keep poking me
They
about it.
keep
That's not a
poking
big
you
deal.
about that, yeah. All right, let's turn off this the nose of the bridge because I just wanted to show the drone level one more time.
Yeah, do that. Thank you.
Wait, what's... Okay, yes, this was a light blocker, so I'm just going to temporarily hide that. So yeah, essentially, I'm just going to kill the shadows here so you can see a bit better. So here's the interior. The idea is you have the drones set up in this sort of like configuration. Oh damn, they're in the same group. What about this one? Okay, so the idea is that these would slide out. Actually, if I put this on the grid, so they would slide out like this and sort of like turn like so, and basically at this point sort of like this isn't 100%, but you get the idea. It's sort of like pass into the sort of doorway here. The drone would then be launched sort of like out of this door, and we're looking at it flipping back like this, both because it'll make it easy to put the actual miniature on it, and let me just move that back so it's in the way. So yeah, it's just a basic drone room. If you want to have launchers on both sides, you could. We're making the path fairly modular. I'll probably make a few variant pieces in there. So essentially it has a little bit of drone storage, launchers, and then a control unit here, which you couldn't really see from the renders. So I just wanted to make that available. Will the door stop at 90 degrees? Yes. It should do. We're still working on the mechanism, but my plan would be to make the door stop so that the drone can rest on top of it. Alright guys, we have about 3 minutes left, so if you have any last questions, get them in. Zoram is just posting up the links. I want to thank you guys for making it an awesome time working on the Kickstarter. We are we usually have this show anyway every Friday, so by all means, like, this will obviously be the last Friday scheduled show during the Kickstarter, since we end on Sunday, but we do this every week. Next week though, I'm going to take a much needed 1 week hiatus, so next week I'm not working essentially. I mean, I will check my mail and make sure that, you know, I can answer people's questions, but essentially this period during the end of the Kickstarter and the Kickstarter funds coming through, which takes about 2 weeks usually. They say 2 to 3, but it's usually 2. Essentially when I'll be coming online is the week after, where we're getting ready to have the pledge manager go live. It will be available for people that aren't able to back in time. However, we won't be delivering things on that during the period, because we can't import the Kickstarter lists until everything's in place, and essentially that requires us knowing exactly who's been able to essentially, if your credit card balances and Kickstarter aren't able to collect the funds, we need to wait until after we know exactly how everything's been processed. So there's always that unfortunate wait time. But during that time, we'll make sure we've got at least some rudimentary documentation ready so you guys can build the Sleipnir. But essentially, the moment it becomes available, many of the miniatures are already printable because they're delivered through Papsicles and Pickle. So those you should be able to run quite easily. So yeah, I'll talk more about delivery probably in the next show. So there won't be a show next week, more than likely. We'll see how things go. It is good to keep the momentum as well, but I also believe in having to compartmentalize things. So, one last look at the actual site itself. So, yeah, essentially, guys, at 10 o'clock tonight, we hit Oh, nice. We made a few extra sales while we were talking in the last hour. So yeah, we have 55 hours to go. Essentially at 10 o'clock tonight local time, that's going to hit that final 48 hours, and we should then see a huge surge of new backers as we get people seeing those reminder mails from Kickstarter and that. So it should be an exciting final 48 hours. And I imagine we're probably going to crack a few of the stretch goals. Currently we have we're working towards the third miniature, it looks like, according to check those updates, by the way, because in them we do often have questionnaires which lead to, for example, the combat marine entry that was done by you guys voting on a list of suggestions and making the suggestions. We probably won't have a fourth miniature. We might. You never know. So vote on that. It looks at the moment that it's overwhelmingly going to be a Mohawked female engineer. We have the drones at 550, and we have this advanced tutorial mode that John went over earlier. Thanks, John, by the way, for joining us. I'm sure you're actually secretly listening in and have been here the whole time. But yeah, these three, I think I can almost guarantee they're going to be unlocked based on past performance. So we've probably got at least one beyond this. There's also a survey out as to what that's going to be, and I'll definitely be reporting back more about that over the weekend. May even do some more streaming, although I don't have a schedule yet. All right.
Hold on 1 second. I got to post one last thing.
Oh yeah, the filament thing?
Yeah, just give me a sec.
Did they get that European shipping fixed, by the way?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah,
okay. So, guys, we have... Zorimus always knows to deal with Filamentum, sort of like... how would you put the brand? It's sort of like a no-frills version of it, but we've actually tested the filament, and it's actually very, very decent.
This is a more basic filament. It's stronger than standard PLA. It's kind of a filament fill. It prints at a higher temperature, 215 is pretty standard for the temperature that we've discovered, with a bed temp of about 70 to 80 to get it to stick well. And it prints very well, very sturdy, very hard. It comes in some nice silver and some other colors at a pretty good, cheap price. This link will take you to the page. On your checkout code, type in SHIP5, and that'll get you the discount of 10% for your order.
Yep, I've just put that in the chat, so you know. Yeah, exactly. That it's lowercase SHIP5, no spaces.
You'll also find that that if you go there and check it out, it's only going to be the cheaper brand. But later on, we are going to open up Filamentum at a. We're trying to arrange a no shipping cost arrangement with them, so that they will give us their higher end brand at a no percent discount, but they'll give free shipping to anywhere. So we'll be able to ship it anywhere in the world for
anywhere in the world. That sounds insane.
That's what we're trying to do.
All right. Well, you know, I've Zorimer is very pushy with this sort of thing. So if anyone can do it, Zorimer can. But guys, sorry about the inconveniences for the European shipping. That should be back in place now. So unfortunately, you know, the shipping will be too expensive for many people outside of the EU or continental US, I imagine. But
with the high shipping, feel free to contact me, and I will arrange it. I will arrange to get it taken care of for you, so that it can be routed another way, so it won't be as expensive. That includes EU. If you have any problems, feel free to contact me. I'll straighten it out for you.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, guys, I think that's going to be about that for this particular session. I'm going to get back to work because it's going to be a busy weekend. And guys, I'm really excited to see what kind of stretch goals we can get through this this last final stretch of the campaign. Can we beat 610,000 Swedish crowns? I think we can. And that would be an all-time record for the actual Kickstarter campaign. So let's make that happen. My Mini Factory is going to do some advertising for us over the weekend as well, so that should bring in a lot of fresh new backers, I hope. Guys, it's been an awesome session. It's always great to chat with you. Thanks again, John, for being with us. Thanks, Zoromar, of course, as always. And we'll catch you guys, well, later in the weekend, I hope. So, see you guys later.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.